Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself, ntnm.org. In the 24th District, Rogers Park, West Rogers Park, a little bit of Edgewater, caps24.org for all your meeting times. We're going to be going to monthly meetings for each beat. Not every single month, but a lot of months. And I think it's a real good plan. And community policing, I think, will be better as a result. That'll be really cool. It is a pleasure to introduce you to somebody that has been said to have set the model for judicial sub-circuit races in this area. And that is the chief cook and bottle washer of KNI Communications, campaign manager par excellence. That is Sean Tenner. Sean, how you doing?
Good to see you again, Avi.
First of all, my pleasure, and congratulations in person on Megan Goldish's campaign. You certainly set everybody on fire. I never thought she had a chance to win, to tell you the truth.
Well, I appreciate the compliments, and it's been great to see so many folks, even who were on the other side, who came and congratulated Megan and myself. And the great thing about elections is after the ballots are counted, everybody goes back to being friends again. So it's been it's been good to reconnect with everybody from that race. And appreciate the kind words.
No, that's a very important thing, and people don't realize that anybody who can't, be friends after an election, shake hands and forget about it, he has no place in politics.
Especially after a primary. In Cook County, the Democratic primaries largely determine the election, and if you can't get along with folks in your own party, what are you going to do next year and the year after? So I think it's really important for everybody to kiss and make up after the election, and watching your show and seeing Commissioner Suffredin and others come in and give their congratulations to Megan was really nice.
No. And you know what? It's not that she wasn't highly qualified, but it's like you really brought it up. I mean, you ran a hell of a campaign. You did things I never thought anybody would do in a judicial race, but it worked. It worked very, very nicely. There's no question about it. So you're actually located in Uptown right now?
We are. Right above the Green Mill. It's a fantastic space overlooking all of the historic buildings and architecture in Uptown, right on the same block as the Uptown Theater, which just got a $10 million appropriation for renovations. So I think we might be seeing some progress there. A lot of great restaurants and entertainment venues. It's the best place in the city as far as I'm concerned. It's 6 blocks from my house.
Oh, that's cool. No, it is a cool place. I've been at the Green Mill, and that's kind of cool. The last time I was at the Uptown Theater, I saw the Allman Brothers there.
When was that?
That was, I want to say it was probably early 80s, something like that. It was, at the time, the place had not always been open, and it was sort of partitioned off in part. I didn't know if it was specifically for the Allman Brothers, or there was just, like, this is cracking and falling.
Right.
The funny thing is that when I was to me, the Uptown Theater, as beautiful and gorgeous as people think it is, I mean, it didn't rate with some of the other theaters at the time. I mean, we had the theater that we used to go to from the South Side that is still a popular venue, not the same name, was the Evelyn Theater.
Right.
At 79th and Stony, and now that's the I forget. It's basically a black entertainment venue. I forget what they call it, but it's big time stuff. And that whole thing was sort of done like a Taj Mahal theme inside.
Really?
And it was an old time theater that was built for vaudeville and in live performances in the early 1900s. As a matter of fact, Mike Smith of the Dave Clark Five even broke his leg over there one time.
Really?
So the fans were crushing on stage, and I wasn't even there.
Well, John Dillinger got killed with the Biograph, so we didn't have it quite that bad.
No, that's true. But no, these were classic palaces. I mean, even the ugliest theater in those days was magnificent.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't remember Charlie Chaplin and his, Hollywood and Chicago operation was all in Uptown.
Yeah, which wasn't far at all from where you are.
Exactly.
So, okay, now in Chicago, one of the problems is that even though like you had candidates in the primary, I mean, once you win the Democratic primary, you win.
Right.
That's pretty much it. It's good to me. This coming election cycle is beyond question one of the most boring things coming up. Even though on a national level it'll probably be like fireworks because of Congress, but locally, I mean, you would think that the Republicans aren't really running candidates in so many races. It's not even funny.
Right. Well, the importance of I think running good campaigns in the primary is uh, enhanced by the fact that in November you have so few truly competitive races. The Democrats are making great inroads in DuPage, but in most counties in Illinois, either the Democrats or the Republicans dominate. So a lot of the meat of the work, at least among political professionals, is done in the primaries. But of course, most of the folks who do what I do are really looking forward to the aldermanic races, and people are already staffing up, getting their campaigns organized.
That's
and
where all
petitions
my
come out in 2 months, and if you don't have a field team ready for the petitions, you're going to be in trouble. So it's coming up sooner than people realize.
No, that's exactly where all the excitement is here.
That's where the energy
People
is. No
people
doubt.
are not talking to me about the fall election. People are talking. I mean, except for maybe Dole and Dole.
Schneider.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, my theory on the gubernatorial race, and I've seen some polls showing that Rauner's maybe 10 points ahead, is I think people really haven't focused on that race at all. To your point, I think that he got a lot of news coverage in the primary cycle, millions of dollars spent each way, so a lot of people know his name. Quinn hasn't gone on TV. They haven't had a debate, so there hasn't really been any fireworks in that race. But my prediction is by October, people are going to be sick of watching TV. There's going to be so much in the mail and so much on TV that people may just throw their hands up and pick one or the other based on whoever's TV ad they saw the last. But I think the energy will kick up as we get to the fall.
Yeah. By the way, for the record, we have invited both Quinn and Rauner on the show, and one of these years, maybe. Well, actually, Quinn would be interesting because the last time, when I was in junior college, I had a run-in with Quinn. And the last time, his parting words to me is he was yelling at the top of his lungs right in my face at Mayfair Junior College. And it was absurd. I've never voted for him as a result.
Well, oddly enough, I ran into Mike Flannery, the political reporter from Fox. He and I both went to Georgetown, and so I invited him to speak at an event for Georgetown alum and admitted students in Chicago. And it turned out that not only was he there at the same time as Bill Clinton and Pat Buchanan,
Wow.
but Pat Quinn was his freshman orientation tour leader.
Really?
A lot of interesting stuff going on at Georgetown in the late 60s.
Wow. So it wasn't just John Thompson and the basketball team.
Well, I'll tell you who else went. If you vote in the Democratic primary in Illinois, Senator Durbin, Lieutenant Governor Simon, Governor Quinn. I'm missing one. Four out of the 5 Democratic elected officials are all Georgetown grads.
Wow.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong with my life that I'm not.
Yeah,
elected
isn't
to
Larry
statewide
Sepperman
office.
also, by the way, the commissioner?
I think you're right.
I know I am, but I mean, he's not at that,
Durbin, Quinn, Madigan, Simon, all Georgetown grads.
Wow.
And then Flannery, who covers them. So.
And you.
Right, exactly.
Now, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, they had some magnificent basketball teams under Thompson. I just used to enjoy watching them. You've got another project too. Well, are you already lining up people for the aldermanic race?
Absolutely. If I could make a pitch for one of my
Sure.
candidates. We've just started working with a really outstanding community advocate and attorney named Cornell Wilson. Cornell, he grew up in the South, had an excellent opportunity ahead of him when he graduated with a business degree, and had a really excellent academic record. Then 9/11 hit, and he decided to sort of put all that aside and join the Marines in the wake of the terrorism
Wow.
threat that was all-consuming at that point. And lo and behold, spent 10 years in the Marines, earning personal awards, every sort of commendation you can receive. And he's currently a captain, major select, still serving in the reserves. And what's fascinating to me is that at the end of his tenure in the Marines, he was stationed in Djibouti in Africa, overseeing very complex, multinational counterterrorism operations and also
Wow.
civil reconstruction, rebuilding schools and hospitals in some of those areas that were really struggling. So he's doing all that and finds a way to simultaneously get into Northwestern University Law School.
Wow.
Comes back to Chicago to start the legal career. Northwestern, worked at the Cook County Public Defender's Office, excellent firm, and now is sort of taking his public service to another level. And I think while he doesn't have a political background, he has the public service background. And in this time and place where people are not enamored of career politicians, I think he's got a really interesting profile because he's got that leadership quality about him and that ability to manage complex problems.
Cool.
That you don't see a lot. So I'm really excited about that. We're putting the field team together, and everybody's going to the community meetings, and it's fun. It's fun to get out there and to start early and have some time to truly understand all the needs of the different neighborhoods and the community leaders.
What ward is he running in?
This is the new second ward. And
Yeah,
a lot of people ask me, "Are you?" I'm surprised you're running against Alderman Fioretti. Actually, we're not. Alderman Fioretti was in the old second ward, which oddly enough is nowhere near the new second ward. So Alderman Fioretti could run for any number of offices, but he won't be running in the new two because legally that deadline is passed.
Yeah, it was explained to me that he's he would have to move because he lives 2 miles away.
Right.
If you're after the things change, you can live in, you can move to just about any part of the other ward because they really gerrymandered his ward, last time around, not this time, and this time too. But apparently he could have run in about 5 or 6 different wards.
Right, exactly.
He's just over 2 miles away from the new second ward.
Right, the new second ward is almost the only one he can't run in. I'm sure he's weighing his options carefully.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you're involved in that's really interesting is you're really involved in human rights and things like, and we've got a couple minutes. Why don't you tell us something about that and how people can get involved if they want to?
Oh, sure. I appreciate that. A couple years ago, actually, it was the night of the March 2012 election. I was busy stuffing donuts in bags or something important like that. But I said I need to take a break from that.
On election day, that is important.
Well, that's true. So I decided to take a break from my bag stuffing and just glance at the internet for a little bit. So I went on CNN and I saw a story called "Slavery's Last Stronghold." And I'm a bit of a Civil War buff, so I thought maybe it was about the last town that freed its slaves after the Civil War. They have stories about how in Texas, word didn't get out until the war had been over for months, so they celebrate Juneteenth.
Wow.
Anyway, I thought that's what the article was about. It turned out it was about a country called Mauritania in West Africa that did not decriminalize slavery until 2007.
Wow.
And it's by any account, and the exact stats are hard to get, the country with the highest percentage of people still enslaved. And this isn't trafficking we're talking about. This is the type of slavery that existed pre-Civil War. People are born into slavery. They're immediately the property of their masters. They die slaves, and their children are slaves. And the horrible thing about it is not only is it descent-based, as I just described, but it's also race-based. So it's a lighter-skinned caste, if you will, that is the slave-owning caste, and a darker-skinned African peoples who are enslaved. And so, I read this article, and I talked to everybody I could over the next year to see who was involved, who wanted to get involved. Then, after a while, we formed kind of a critical mass. Had our first board meeting in my condo, and then over the course of the last year, we've reached out to groups all over the world to both raise money to fund a job training center in Mauritania for women who've escaped slavery, and I'm proud to make the first public announcement that working with Senator Dick Durbin's office, he and his team were able to get an appropriation of $3 million for slavery eradication in Mauritania and that region of Africa, which I think is probably the highest level of direct investment in fighting slavery since the Civil War.
That's terrific. We're really out of time.
Oh, sure.
Here, so
I could go on that subject forever.
I know that. But why don't you give people your contact information?
Absolutely. We are just launching a revamped website, knicommunications.com, and also a website, winningjudicialcampaigns.com, which is specifically about our approach to winning judicial campaigns. And I believe some quotes from your show are featured prominently.
Very cool. I want to thank you very much, Sean Tunner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonny. Stay tuned next week for Terry O'Brien. Bye, everybody.